In the heart of the ancient town of Eldridge, nestled among cobblestone streets and whispering willows, stood the shop of Mr. Jonathan Weaver, a clockmaker renowned for his extraordinary craftsmanship. His shop, a curious alcove filled with the ticking of countless clocks, was a sanctuary of time itself. One stormy evening, as Jonathan laboured over his latest creation, a peculiar old man entered his shop. Without a word, the stranger placed an ancient, dust-covered clock on the counter. It was unlike any Jonathan had seen before, its design intricate, its aura haunting. The stranger offered it in exchange for a simple repair on his pocket watch, insisting the clock was of no value. Intrigued, Jonathan agreed. That night, as the town slept, Jonathan examined the ancient clock. Its mechanics were unfamiliar, complex, and eerily beautiful. As he wound the clock, a chill swept through the room, and the air seemed to thicken. The clock ticked to life, its hands moving backward. Suddenly, the noises of the world outside faded into an unnatural silence. The storm's rage, the ticking of the other clocks, even his own heartbeat seemed to vanish. Jonathan stood enveloped in a void of silence. The ancient clock, the only movement in a world, paused. Over the following days, Jonathan became obsessed with the clock. He noticed that with each reversal of its hands, he could move freely while the world around him stood still. Time for him had ceased its march, but with this gift came a curse. Whispers filled the silence. Shadows flickered in the corners of his vision, growing bolder, closer with each use of the clock. Jonathan realized too late that the clock did not stop time, but opened a door to something ancient and malevolent, something that existed in the gaps between seconds. The whispers grew into voices demanding, insatiable. The shadows took form, revealing themselves as the guardians of the clock, creatures of a forgotten time. They revealed the truth. The clock was a prison, and Jonathan had unwittingly released its inmates. One night, driven to desperation, Jonathan attempted to destroy the clock, to end the nightmare he had unleashed. But the guardians were always there, protecting it. They offered him a choice: become the clock's new guardian, or let the silence consume him and his world. Jonathan looked at the clock, its hands now moving so fast they were a blur. The silence was spreading beyond his shop into the streets, the town, the world. With a heavy heart, Jonathan accepted his fate. He became the guardian of the clock, bound to its existence, a watcher over the silence. The old man never returned for the clock. Perhaps he too had once been its guardian, now released from his duty by passing the curse to another. Eldridge returned to normal, its people unaware of how close they had come to eternal silence. Jonathan's shop remained, the ticking of clocks filling the air, all except for one, which stood silent, its hands still, guarded by a man who had traded everything to keep the whispers at bay. As for the ancient clock, it waits, silent and patient, for its next keeper.